everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Roswell UFO crash incident. For those who don't know, UFO stands for Unidentified Flying Object, which doesn't actually equal alien spacecraft. It just means it's something that is usually not identified right away. Roswell is a city in New Mexico. New Mexico is a state in the United States. It's actually well known because of this incident. It's one of the most well documented cases in the history of UFO research. On July 2nd, 1947, several witnesses saw a flying saucer. They described it as a disc-shaped spacecraft flying on the sky. The next day, a rancher called Mac Brazel was riding on his horse and came upon some strange debris. That debris was composed of some metallic chunks. It looked like an aircraft had crashed there. Night prior, Mac had heard a explosion-like sound, but he assumed it was due to the thunderstorms outside, so he didn't really think any of it. Mac Brazel picked up some pieces, and he was shocked because he had never seen or felt something like that. This material was something new for him. It was light and very robust. So for many years, because information wasn't released up until about 20 years later, for many years people thought that Mac had found the remains of a weather balloon. A weather balloon is used to forecast weather conditions. However, what happened next actually would indicate something else happened. It's actually believed that this was a massive cover-up for an alien aircraft crash. Authorities came pretty fast to actually pick up all the debris. They did their best to pick everything up, even the smallest pieces, so they wanted to leave nothing behind, absolutely nothing. For years, the government said it was actually just a weather balloon, and people actually believed it. So this debris was actually secretly flown to Wright Field. It's an Air Force base in Ohio. At that Air Force base in Ohio, it underwent multiple tests in their labs, and an officer that was working there at the time, called Arthur Exon, said, and I quote, "It was awfully strong and very thin and couldn't be dented even with heavy hammers." The scientists were very confused, and the consensus was that these pieces were from space. 2 years later, Brazel's son Bill found some pieces that the soldiers had missed, and the Air Force demanded that he would return those pieces to them. So he was very aware of the seriousness of the situation, so much so his father was held in incommunicado for some days, and through some threats and bribing, they wanted to make sure that Mac would not open his mouth about this incident. But this would not be the end of it. A few days later, on July 8th, 1947, another spacecraft would be found not very far. It was a little smaller, but in better shape. Now, this could be true or not. I personally believe it because the government was being super secretive about it. And the government just doesn't lie like that if it's something that they want to hide, because it's supernatural stuff and so on, like conspiracy theories. This could be a conspiracy theory, but I personally believe it's not, that it's true. But you can believe whatever you want, because there's actually nothing to hide about a weather balloon, so why hide it? Why lie about it? Apparently, near Roswell, there was a smaller spacecraft. It was in better shape, like I said before, and near the spacecraft, there were 4 bodies sprawled around, laying on the floor, and they weren't human. They were all found in good condition. They weren't dead. Many of those who participated in the research of this crash had very consistent descriptions of what the extraterrestrial beings looked like. These people claimed these beings were 4 to 5 feet tall, humanoid looking, long and thin arms with 4 fingers in each hand. They were thin and had big eyes and split like mouths and big heads. I wanted to quote something that a major said, that a major that worked at the Air Force Base, and it's quite interesting, so I'm going to quote that. We found all kinds of stuff, small beams about half an inch square with some sort of hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics are symbols that cannot be read by everyone. They are symbols, not letters. So on that nobody could decipher. These looked something like balsa wood and were of about the same weight, although flexible and would not burn. There was a great deal of unusual parchment-like substance that was brown in color and extremely strong, and in a great number of small pieces of a metal like tinfoil, except it wasn't tinfoil. The parchment writing had little numbers and symbols that we had to call hieroglyphs because I could not understand them. They were pink and purple. They looked like they were painted on. These little numbers could not be broken, could not be burned, wouldn't even smoke. So, I have reasons to believe that why would a major that worked at a Air Force base would lie about this? Because a weather balloon just doesn't have unreadable symbols. These people that worked in this case were kept silent for years, so they could not speak about it. The government actually changed their story a couple times. Later, they said that the bodies, so they acknowledged that there were bodies. They claimed that those bodies were parachute dummies. A dummy is like a test crash dummy. I don't know if you guys know what it is. I'm gonna leave an image right here. So it sounds fishy to me because the government tends to hide all sorts of stuff. Also, the material found there appeared to have some sort of memory. No matter how bent or twisted it would return to its original shape. Also, this material could not be burned, so I don't think this kind of material could be found on Earth, at least at the time. And if a scientist says that this is from space, of course this could all be a massive conspiracy theory, but I don't think so because you have enough evidence and you make whatever you want of it. I'm not telling anyone to believe what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this is a very interesting case and you guys can look it up online. Just Google Roswell UFO and you should see a lot of information on it. But for me, I think this is a true case of a UFO coming to Earth, and all because the government acted very suspicious about this, and there is a lot of documents. This case is very well documented, and I personally believe that aliens exist because I can't wrap my head around the fact that it's just us in a massive universe. So they are probably out there. I don't have a lot more to say about this, but in my opinion, the fact that the government changed the story a couple times is actually sketchy to me, to say the least. And it's up to you to believe or not. Bye!